So you're trying to find a way to prioritize your relationship. You got work and family and friends and all kind of stuff going on. How do you actually make time for your significant other? In today's episode, we're going to give you 3 essential ways to prioritize your relationship today. It's going to be amazing. Stay tuned. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Home to Haven podcast. We are so grateful you've joined us today. We're the Turners, Terrell and Jen, and we teach couples how to communicate in their relationships so that they can build a haven of peace and love. This atmosphere that you just want to be around. You can't get enough of it, right? So if you've been looking for faith-based content that helps in your relationship, you found the right place. So make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe, follow there on YouTube. If you're there on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, go ahead and subscribe, follow us. It helps the algorithm push this content out to more people. We're so grateful you're here today.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. We're so happy to have you all. And you can also catch more content over on Instagram or TikTok.
Facebook if you really want to.
Okay, Haven Company. There's also great resources you can find on our website, okhavencompany.com. Go there. Also, feel free to send us a message. We love connecting. We love hearing from you all. And we're excited to dive into this topic today.
Ooh, this is episode, today's episode 40.
40.
That is absolutely amazing. I'm so excited. It's been a long journey, but we continue to trust God, His provision, and Him calling us to do this. So thank you all for being along with us. We'd love to know if this content's helping anybody.
Right.
So feel free to comment below, send us the email, the information on the screen, and we look forward to it. What are we getting into today?
All right. So today we are talking about three essential ways
Yeah.
to prioritize your relationship.
Why do we need to prioritize our relationships?
So if you don't prioritize your relationship, right, it's going to be probably last because we have so many things going on in our lives these days.
What's it mean to prioritize your relationship?
So prioritize, right, is to put something first.
Okay.
So after, of course, your relationship with God, which should be first and foremost if you're a Christian.
Should it?
It should.
Okay.
You there with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So that should be first and foremost.
Okay.
Right after that should be your marriage relationship. If you're married,
okay,
you got to put that first, and you got to spend time prioritizing your marriage. You got to know how to prioritize your marriage, what to do, when to do it, because there's so many other things going on in our society, in our life these days, right? People are so busy with work. Kids take up a lot of time and energy. Friends, hobbies, other things going on, just day-to-day living. There's a lot to do. And I think that a lot of people don't put that prioritization on their marriage and make that first.
Sometimes we might not even think about it. It's not on our minds.
And why is it not on our minds?
I think it kind of slips through the crack. I don't think we really talk about those things. I feel like sometimes I hear women say, I don't feel like he values me, or we don't go out anywhere, we don't do anything, but they don't really vocalize prioritization. You talked about how God to be the first of every believer. So in 1 Corinthians 11:3, that's actually is biblical, which we base everything that we talk about. 1 Corinthians 11:3 says that the head of Christ is God. Then it says the head of the man is Christ. Then the head of the woman is man, right? So we see this divine order, or this structure of prioritization. Now, Jesus said, if it was somebody like twitching, like Jesus said that me and the Father are one, right? So it's not saying that the husband's better than the woman, or the woman's beneath, there's a subservient. That's not what the Bible's talking about.
Right.
We are still one, correct?
Right.
But he's saying, I gotta prioritize you. I gotta put you in a place of high esteem. And so more than my boys, more than going out to my car, where your treasure is, Jesus said that's where your heart is. So I've got to make sure that I treasure you, that I value you, because if I do that, then I'm going to prioritize you. For me, it's natural. We don't really talk about prioritization, but I feel like I do put you in a priority place. Number one, because I have God in my life.
Right.
He's first. And so he's talking to me about how I treat you, what I do with you. And so that's really where we got to make sure that we've got our values in the right
Right.
place, that I'm treasuring you and honoring you
Mhm.
more than the girls' night. I'm going to check in with you. That's where respect comes in. It's not about, oh, I'm lording over you. It's just
Right.
the
No.
priority is there.
Mhm. And I think with women a lot of times a lot of people just feel overwhelmed with everything that they have to do, right?
Okay.
And so you always feel, that mental load or that mental task to do list is never ending. So you
Yeah.
always have the laundry to do, you always have the cleaning to do, you always have dinner to figure out, you always have to make sure homework's done, you always have to make sure there's so many day to day tasks. And of course, we're putting this on ourselves too, right? The way we choose to live and things like that. But we might know that it's really important or might want to prioritize our marriage, and we know that it's so important, but yet we just feel overwhelmed with everything else that needs to get done,
Okay.
that has to get done or life's going to fall apart kind of thing, that we don't take that time to really set the intention of prioritizing our husbands.
I believe that if you would stop for a moment and then retrace it back, because we got to do it God's way.
Mhm.
Wisdom builds the house, Proverbs 9:1. And so if I take time to prioritize you, and what do we mean by that, right? It means that I'm going to involve you in conversation. And so we do a time throughout the week, several times throughout the week, but we have a powwow at least once a week where we're going through our schedules,
Mhm.
what needs to be done, who needs to do what, how can I help, how can you help, where do we need to pick up some slack, what do we need to let go, what do we need to pick. We're going through all this. It's a constant communication,
Mhm.
right? That's prioritize. That's what we mean by prioritize. Is that instead of me talking to about my problems to anyone else, I'm going to God, but I'm also coming to my spouse, my
Mhm.
teammate,
Right.
my number one,
Mhm.
right? My MVP
Mhm.
or my MVS, my most valuable spouse, right?
Yep.
And so we're going through this constant thing so that we're in this together. You're not alone. You don't have to do the kids by yourself. I'm here.
Mhm.
You don't have to do the laundry by yourself. I'm here. What do you need from me,
Mhm.
right? And so we're going to work through that together so that we accomplish our goals together.
Right. And just hearing your spouse say that, right, is a lot of the times
So, gentlemen, let's make sure we communicate that.
what people need,
Yeah.
right? Because just to hear you say, I'm here if you need help with the dishes, or I'm here if you need help with the kids, is just that takes off so much of that load
Yeah.
off your brain and your mind.
Yeah.
So just communicating with your spouse, maybe say, I do need to hear that from you, or
Yeah.
I would love to hear what you think we could do to make the evenings go easier
Right.
or to make things flow better. So if you're not hearing that from your spouse and you need or want to hear that from your spouse, you're going to have to know how to communicate
Yeah.
that to them.
So we want to say, Stephanie, you need to do this. You want to say, sweetheart, I need this, or can you do this,
Or what do
right?
you think about
What do you
this?
think
Or,
about this pitch? Do a pitch.
right.
What do you think about this? Or how would you feel if this happened? Or how would you feel if we changed this to accomplish this?
Right. Or what's your opinion on if we decided to switch our routine, or what do you think would happen if we did this or that? You're working together as a team, and sometimes I feel like people just drift apart and you're kind of doing your own thing in your own lane and you're doing
Right.
your thing in your own lane. So that's bringing the marriage apart,
And
right?
sometimes we can assume, I've done this. I assume you can handle something and you couldn't, or I assume that you got this and you didn't. That's why I didn't communicate it.
Mhm.
And so you don't want to assume. So, gentlemen, I'm speaking to us because we want to lead in this area. Ask her, is there anything that I can do this week?
Mhm.
And if she asks you for something, well, the oil light came on in my car.
Mhm.
You know, don't be like, well, why have you been going on and didn't tell me about the oil light? Just go look.
Mhm.
Or if you're going to say, I'm going to take your car to the shop, make sure you do it. Be a man of your word. There's integrity, right?
Mhm.
Follow through on the things that you say
Mhm.
so that you accomplish those things.
And this might be a little bit off topic, but when you just said that, it made me think of when you're dating somebody or just starting to get really serious.
Yeah.
And like as your girlfriend, if I said that and you're trying to like impress me or whatever, you'd be on top of that in a second. You'd be like, let me check that out. Let me figure that out for
Right.
you.
Yeah.
When you married for a while, that might not seem like should be such a priority, but are you doing those things when you were
Right.
dating that are you still doing those in your
That's
marriage?
in something that we talk about. I know we did in the early episode.
Mhm.
Is it revisited something about the fire or something? I don't know. We got
Respark the flame.
respark the flame. You
Mhm.
got to
Or
go
spark the
back.
flame, yeah.
Yeah. You got to go back into basically date mode,
Mm-hmm.
and don't let that stuff die. Don't allow year 8, month 8 for that matter, to fizzle out. And now you're not doing those things you did to get her, the things you did to get her or to get him, whether it was putting on some perfume
Right.
or, you were all lovey-dovey and trying to see him after the game, whatever it is. We got to keep those things going, not let those die. Keep that as priority.
Right. You made time for that person,
You
right?
sure
When you
did.
still had work and you had
Mhm.
all those other plans.
Speak to it.
If you had that guy text you of like, hey, you want to hang out?
Yeah.
I think you could clear
You
your
would
schedule
move the
then.
mountains, you can
make that happen, right? So
absolutely.
you were prioritizing your relationship
Yeah.
when you were dating. You should be prioritizing your marriage
Making my
even more.
way downtown. Walk 1,000 miles. All right. We're going to give you 3 things. I'm going to give you 3 P's on how to prioritize
All right,
or
let's do it.
accomplish your relationship. You guys ready for this? First, you got to pray it, right? Then you got to plan it, and then you will pursue it.
All right, let's go through those.
That'll
The 3
preach
P's.
on it. You gotta pray it, right? You gotta pray
Uh-huh.
over it. Ask God to give you direction. Get him all involved in that. Stir up the juice, right? You
Okay.
gotta pray it. Then you want to plan it. So actually weigh out,
Figure
try
out.
it out, figure out how you're going to accomplish
Right.
this thing. What are the steps we're going to take to get it done?
Okay.
And then go do it. Pursue it. Go do the plan.
Go do it. Right. Don't just say it, right?
Yeah.
So let's go through them a little bit deeper. So pray it.
Yes.
You talked about, when we actually talked about this a lot in our previous episode. So if you
Okay.
haven't listened to that one, go back just one episode before.
Okay.
We talked all about our mindset, right?
Yes.
And knowing in your mind, having that mindset that is God's word, something that's not negative, that's being thrown at you or talked to you or preached to you from the world, and really renewing your mind in God's word so that you know what to even pray over your relationship.
Sure. When you pray it specifically, your mind should already be renewed. So
yes.
When you're praying it, you're going to find a scripture that pertains to your need, right? So find that promise that talks about your praying. So if it's, for instance, we got a vehicle for the family. So I prayed over that first. I talked to God, first of all, is it a good timing? Can we afford this, Lord? Pray for your favor. Lead me to the place that you have our vehicle. I believe we need one.
Okay.
And so I'm praying over that. Give me wisdom. Help me not to make a mistake. God, I'm welcoming and inviting you into this area. So I prayed over that. We prayed over it together. We thank you for the provision, right? So then we planned it. All right. I'm going to start pursuing a vehicle. Which one do you want? Or do you want, you told me you want it white. Are you sure?
Right.
Yes. What about black? No, I only want white. Okay, great. So we make a plan. Okay.
Step by step.
Step by step. We're going to afford it this way. We're going to move this money over here so we can afford this. We're going to do this. Okay. So we made the plan, and then we went to go pursue it. And when I said the plan, also, when we start talking, when we go, don't say anything. I'm going to handle the negotiations.
Right, all the details, right?
All the details, so we made a plan, and everything fell in line and everything worked out.
And so how can we, or what should we be planning or pursuing to prioritize our marriage?
We got to talk about, talk about your date nights,
right?
Talk about your time together.
Right.
And when we say date nights, don't automatically think a 5-star restaurant or a steakhouse. Date night is just, it could be on the couch watching the movie. Date night can be going
taking a
walk down to the mailbox or around the pond. Date night can be to the park. It's just quality time together that you have intentionally set aside together. So we want to plan that. We want to pursue that. We want to pray those things out. Pray about our year. It's the beginning of the year if you're listening to this. And so, what do we want God to do this year? What are we believing him for? What do we want to accomplish in our marriage? What do we want him to do in our finances? What do we want to do in our health? All the different areas and the facets of our lives. Come together and pray through it. Come together and plan through it. Work it out. Have a goal sheet. I believe we have something that can help people just kind of map out something very quickly, not detailed just yet, but just kind of splash some things out there and accomplish. And then one by one to begin to do it, because you don't want to just say things and it falls by the wayside. You just talked about that seed that just kind of falls and never takes root. We want to be good ground.
Right. You may think about it, or especially in the beginning of a new year, it's on everybody's mind, but You know the statistics in terms of people creating a New Year's resolution,
I
right?
don't. Talk to me
It's
about
like
it.
by January 17th, it's like 90%
90%, yeah.
of people have already
Giving up. I'm
not
out.
pursued it,
Top.
done, over. So instead of just saying, that is a great idea of
We're gonna spend more
prioritizing
time together
my
this
right,
year.
or
Okay, let's.
let's start a hobby together. That
Yeah.
sounds great. Yeah, that sounds great. And then
Yeah.
you never take that actual step to do it. Or even it could be any
Let's
time
get
of the year.
closer.
Right.
That's,
Nothing vague.
that's an abstract, vague goal,
Very
right?
vague. You want to be specific in what you want to do.
Let's be better. And I'm serious. Like we
Right.
do this, right? So it's
Right.
got to be specific,
Yes.
measurable, attainable. I don't know the R, and then T is what traceable. I don't know, whatever.
So if you are saying, yes, let's do more date nights this year.
Right.
That's pretty vague. So maybe you could say, let's do 2 date nights out of the house this year. So
Ooh.
for January, you are going to we do have a free resource for you, like a monthly overview that's going to help you map out those things so you can really pursue it and
Right.
actually do it.
Yeah.
Right. So you're going to say, okay, we are committed to doing 2 date nights out of the house. What days are those going to be? We're going to sit down and we're actually going to say this day and this day. Okay.
right.
What needs to be done in order to do that? Do we need a babysitter? Do we need this, that? We need a plan,
Right.
like you said, but we also need to actually do it.
We can't just make excuses. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. We don't have a baby. No, we have it. The resources are there.
Mhm.
We just got to think through it, pray through it, and pursue it.
Right.
Right?
And if you don't
It's
have
there.
it, make it happen or
right.
pray. So that's part of
It
your
will
prayer.
happen, right? If you don't have a babysitter, we're talking about. If you don't have a babysitter, man, I believe God for you,
Mhm.
because when you start doing this, God sees. He's like, ooh, oh, they serious now. Oh, they're not playing. Okay, I'm going to make the provision. I'm going to bring somebody
the way.
there to put the ram in the bush, and now He introduces you to somebody, or somebody comes up, and it just happens. You're like,
Right.
oh my God, right? That's how God is.
Right.
He does it. So as you begin to move and begin to step out in faith, He's going to meet that need, and everything will come together.
That's right. When you are realizing that, you need to put time and energy and attention into your marriage, into your relationship, because when you don't, it just falls last. We talk about that in our other trainings as well, as when you don't put something
Yeah.
in its place, it's going to fall to the bottom. It's not just going to naturally rise to the top.
Yeah.
So you need to set aside that time. You are capable of putting that time and attention and
Absolutely.
energy into your marriage relationship. And so much good fruit is going to come from that, right?
Absolutely.
We're not just doing it because it feels good, right? We're
I
doing,
hope so.
well, it's not, there's going to be ultimately everything else is going to be affected by your marriage relationship.
Yeah.
So your home life, your kids.
They're watching, they're looking, and they're going to be affected by that, by your prioritizing them, right? And one of the things that it may have gone around, you may have seen it, maybe not, but no one's going to remember that you stayed at work late and answered emails. No one's going, when you get the retirement plaque, I've seen it. I've seen people be number one in sales, and they worked 70 hours a week, and they crushed it, and then had a bad quarter and got fired. Right? Thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
You were hot back then. You were hot last year.
Right.
Now you stink. And you're gone.
Mhm.
Right. And all the time that you could have missed baseball games, football games, dinner for that matter, just simple things, because you were pursuing something that ultimately crumbled. And so your family, your wife, she's the one that's going to be she's the one that remembers. Daughter remembers daddy wasn't there to tuck me in. So make sure that you prioritize and put first what really matters.
That's right. So to refresh our minds again, we have the 3 Ps.
Plan it.
Well, first,
pray it. Got to pray it. Then you got to plan it, and then go pursue it. If you got anything from today, we hope you did. Let us know in the comments below what you agreed with. Maybe you disagreed. We'd love to hear about it. Email hi@oakhaven.com, and we would love to hear from you. But we have a great resource for you on our website in the comments below. Jen, tell us about that resource.
That's right. You can go ahead and grab that resource. It's going to help you actually plan it and pursue it, right? So after you pray it, you need to be able to mark it down, write it down,
which
plan
you're
it
awesome,
out.
which you're good at. Jennifer's great with this. This is her strength. And so I encourage you, get this free resource because she's the one that kind of puts the things together, holds me accountable when I'm drifting of, hey, sweetheart, let's come back. Don't get too far away. We got it. And she'll hold me. We got to sit down and plan. We got to have a powwow. Terrell, it's been a week. We got to get together. We got some things to go over.
Right.
So
that planning, that organization is key. So definitely go ahead, get that resource. It'll help you actually get it going and doing it this year, which we know you can. And we're so excited to hear all the results. Definitely send us a direct message, or you can email us. We love to hear what you have to say as well.
That's right. We are here for you. We are your partners in this together. It can be done. It will be done. Greater things are ahead. You will enjoy life and you will see good days. Thank you so very much for joining us and tuning in with us. And we will see you next week. God bless.